The speaker is pleased to introduce students from the Institute for Community Leadership. The Institute for Community Leadership conducts classes and out-of-school programming featuring civic engagement and social responsibility as a means to fortify academic excellence and school and community problem solving. These young people and their peers spent the week of their winter break studying the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They join us today to commemorate the contributions of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and will share their insights on Dr. King's work at constructing inclusive civil society. Please join me in welcoming Sing Lam Sang, a senior at Foster High School in Tukwila, Sohani Chaudhary, a sophomore at Kent Meridian High School in Kent, and Feruza Sharif, a junior at Kent Meridian High School in Kent.
Leadership, we thank you for your dedicated service to the people of the state of Washington. An important aspect of King's contribution to the struggle for justice is his teachings on the 3 C's: conduct, character, and consciousness. Conduct is behavior, what we do, the way a person acts. Character is the attributes that make up our moral or ethical essence. Consciousness is having awareness of our environment. It is being awake and alert. Conduct is the first step toward the development of our character. If our conduct is unifying and ethical, our character is measured as good and noble. If our conduct is divisive and unethical, our character is measured as bad or ignoble. It is by our conduct that we raise or lower our character. Our character provides the emotional, spiritual habitat from which our consciousness awakens and flows. When we practice other interested conduct, we develop other interested character, and other interested character helps develop a higher and larger consciousness. We can see farther and wider, and even envision people on the other side of the world. When we practice selfish conduct, we develop selfish or shallow character that narrows our consciousness, and we can't see past our own desires. Esteemed members of the Washington State House of Representatives, the tasks before you call upon a consistent conduct of selflessness and service. In this way, you will further develop your consciousness and your capacity to perceive and awake to the needs of all of the people of Washington State. Thank you.
Good morning. Dr. King calls us to align our ends with our means, to create a revolution of values. He advises that our hope for creative living in this world house that we have inherited lies in our ability to reestablish the moral ends of our lives in personal character and social justice. The seed of our ends is in our means. When our means are like gizmos, gadgets, and entertainment-based technology, our ends become profits for a few and lowered character. When our scientific power outruns our moral power, we end up with guided missiles, but misguided men and women. To achieve our nobler selves, we must apply character-strengthening activities over consumer conduct. Civic engagement promotes opportunity towards self-transformation. Civic engagement includes practicing one's cultural spiritual power. Dr. King defines this cultural spiritual power as the means by which we live, our internal realm, including art, literature, poetry, dance, the honoring of our elders and our ancestors, and our religious practices. King challenges us to shift our focus from a thing-oriented society to a person-oriented society. Without this moral and spiritual reawakening, we'll destroy ourselves in the misuse of our own instruments. Thank you.
Good morning. We are here in recognition and commemoration of the life and legacy of Dr. King. He teaches of the need to be civil in our day-to-day work. While the attacks on the nation's capital offer a grim lesson, as did the attack on the governor's residence here in the state of Washington, we want to address the issue of how we must communicate while debating and creating laws and legislation. Dr. King teaches the need to acknowledge differences between people. We have different interests, different lifestyles, different jobs. Throughout the state, we live in different economic regions. There are plenty of ways in which the people of Washington state differ. This is a good thing. But to get us to be one Washington, we need a way of communicating and recognizing these differences. Anger and hatred towards others divides and destroys the social fabric. He directs us to attack the ideas and the logic of another person, but not to attack their personhood. Everybody is somebody and deserves to be treated as such. Nonviolence holds that all progress requires tension. Many times in Western culture, tension is seen as an unwanted burden. But when looked at closely, it is tension that produces the capability of cooperation and progress. It is what we do with tension that matters. Without tension, there would be no birth, there would be fewer inventions, and there would be no societal mechanisms for our common defense. 2021 offers a big step forward in developing our capacity to live and argue and debate and collectively build up and not tear down. A year from now, we will look back and be able to see all of the economic, healthcare, and education progress that we have achieved by working with integrity and respect with those we disagree with. Thank you.
The Speaker would like to thank you for your participation today as we commemorate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King. Fourth order of business, with the consent of the House, the bills, memorials, and resolutions printed on today's introduction sheet will be considered first reading under the fourth order of business and will be referred to the committees so designated. Hearing no objection, so ordered. The member from the 21st District, Representative Ortiz Self.
Mr. Speaker, the Democrats will caucus immediately.
The member from the 17th District, Representative Harris.
Speaker Lubbock, the Republicans will caucus in teams immediately.
The House will be at ease for caucus.